Hello, hello. Welcome back to Thrive Live. Hi guys, how you
Hey
doing?
Beth, hey Ray.
Hey, how you doing, Beth and Jason?
Good, good. So we were chatting pre-show. We were talking about employee benefits, what companies are offering now, some sort of new spins they're taking on the old classics, and how that works for employees these days. So who wants to give us a start?
Ray, go for it.
Ray?
Yeah, so maybe we can start with you know college debt. It's a big topic in the U.S. right now, um, not only for companies and how they should help their employees who have college debt, um, but also it's a big political discussion.
Mhm.
And should um, you know the U.S. government cancel some of that college debt.
Mhm.
Just some quick numbers. You know, 44 million Americans, or 1 in 8 out of every 8 people in the U.S. Has a student loan,
Oh,
um, and then the aggregate student loan debt right now is about 1.7 trillion dollars.
wow.
So
Gee.
it's a huge burden on many Americans. Um, and what we're starting to see, and it's interesting. We're actually participating in a meeting tomorrow on this. Um, is what some companies are starting to do around this to help employees deal with their student debt.
Right.
Uh, and it is not uncommon for somebody to go to a premier school, uh, to add up to $80 to $100,000 of debt over 4 years,
Mhm.
and that's a significant burden that has to be paid back over you know 10 years, 15 years. I mean, that really can change somebody's ability to save and build retirement and also build wealth.
Right.
Um, which is always a challenge. So I think a lot of companies that are really looking at this and very forward thinking are starting to say, you know what, if we're going to carve out, you know, $7,000 to $10,000 a year per employee to help them with their 401k plan, maybe we can redeploy that money and help employees with student debt. And I think that's starting to become a much more popular benefit
Mhm.
with organizations, primarily more the technology organizations, and talk about a retention tool. Can you imagine, if somebody is getting help to pay down their student debt,
Mhm.
um, you know, uh, they're going to be sticking around for a long time, being productive for that company. So,
So what you're saying is it's an either or. You can either participate in the 401k or you
Right.
can participate in the student debt buy down.
correct, correct. That's some companies that have a lot of money, they may be doing both, but I think what we're seeing is a redeployment of money from a 401k plan to a student debt, loan reduction plan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I know those are really popular. Our good friend Trey Davis from High Point Insurance has talked to us many times about companies that he's working with across the nation have put those in place, and those are very popular for folks to work on bringing down student debt that they have. And Beth, you were talking about something pretty interesting before the show, which was the recommendation your friends got from their financial planner.
Yeah, I was with some girlfriends this weekend, and one of them, her child's, in the process of applying for universities, sitting down with the financial planner, talking about, funding and how we're going to pay for this. And he desperately wants to go to Baylor, and he wants to go to Baylor for his entire college career. And the financial planner's like, let's put the brakes on here a minute, buddy. He says the suggested way to do it is to do a junior college, or even a local college that's not the financial burden that Baylor might possibly be, and get all of your core classes out of the way and then finish strong at Baylor. He is totally opposed to it. Well, and Jason, you and I were talking about the experience. A lot of times you're you're paying for your children to have this experience of the 4-year university where you know, it may not be as important as the family not going into, you know, the debt for the child to have that experience. You know, what are you thinking about that, Jason? Because we were
Well,
talking.
I think that, you know, if you're going to go to the home of the NCAA Final Four champs, it's probably worth every cent, I would say. But, um, you know, it's weird because I come from the, well, I actually I went to junior college for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to a very affordable state school that I could spend my money on, and I paid for through working. And I didn't go into student debt. And both of those were commuter schools, community college school, commuter state school. And I thought it was probably the most miserable experience of my life because it was, and I'm being honest with you. I mean,
It was an Animal House, is what you're telling me. There was no Belushi involved.
Yeah, it was working during the day, and then I was driving and looking for a parking space, and schlepping to my class and going to my class and watching all these happy kids who were doing the whole on-campus thing, having fun and drinking beer and doing all that cool stuff. And I wasn't doing any of that. And so, like, my college experience was really like just working. And I found it really humbling that I had to go through that. And I still think I missed out on a lot. I still think I missed out on a lot of opportunities to connect and make friends. And, you know, my wife thinks that that's a really great way to go because she did the similar thing. And I've said to her, no, I mean, I believe, and I only have one child, so put that out there. It's not like I have 10 kids.
Or not twins at the same
twins,
time. Double everything on my end, right?
Yeah, so I have to be honest there, but I want my daughter to have the full experience and look back on those 4 years fondly, because I don't. Now, from saying that to it is cool that I don't have debt because I paid what I could afford. Then when I went to the University of San Francisco to get my MBA, I looked at a school that I could afford, that I could pay, that my company would help me out with tuition reimbursement. And so that was a paid off situation. I got my MBA, and I'm happy that I did that. So every situation every decision that I made was really based on being practical and pragmatic, and which is fine, but I don't know, it's a little bit boring sometimes. Yeah. So I don't really have a good non-financial, well, I guess I do because I don't have debt. And so for me, that was how I needed to go. I just found that the whole experience wasn't what I would have preferred it to be.
See, you and I have a similar experience. I'm in Houston. I went to University of Houston. I actually started working in TV production at an obscenely young age. Like, they paid me $25 a day cash because I was too young to work legally.
Exactly.
Yep.
So long story short, my dad worked at the basketball stadium, and I pulled cable for $25 a day for many years, and then ran camera, and then started producing and blah, blah, blah. Well, I was already, stage managing NBA games and NFL games when I was at university. So I was working at night, a professional basketball game, and then I'd get off work at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'd go sleep, and get up and go to U of H to learn how to focus a camera that I just ran the night before professionally. So for me, it was like the career that I wanted, I was already working actively in to pay for the school to teach me how to enter the field that I was already at a higher level in already, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And in my industry, back then, this is many years ago, people weren't hired to run cameras, stage manage, AD, all that stuff. They didn't go, what university did you go to? Because that's not the field that I chose. So for me, racking up all that college debt really would only have put me in debt, unless I'd chosen a different industry. So, that's
Yeah.
my story. You and I are similar. I don't feel like I
Yeah.
missed out on a lot. I mean, I had plenty of beer in school, so I think I covered my bases there.
Yeah. No. In my experience is very similar. I mean, I ended up going to a small, Catholic school in San Antonio as a commuter school, and pretty much, if it wasn't for Pell grants and other grants,
Mhm.
and me working to pay off the rest of it during the entire 4-year experience, I wouldn't have been able to even go to school, and I kept out of debt, and it was very interesting. The last job I had while I was going to school was as a substitute rural route carrier. So I was actually delivering mail, for the
My
postal
husband was a
service.
mail carrier
Okay,
too.
and I would, go in the morning, sort the mail, leave at 10, go to class for 3 or 4 hours, go back and deliver the mail. And I actually, when I finished college, I took a pay cut for my first professional job compared to what I was making at the post office. So,
Sure.
um, so everybody's different, and but I sent my daughter to Penn State, for 4 years, and sucked it up and paid out of state tuition for the entire 4-year experience, and for her it's worked out great. She's got lifelong friends, sorority sisters, business contacts, and I think it's going to really benefit her from a career perspective, and it
Absolutely.
has. Uh, but I think the whole issue of student debt, it's a big one, and organizations are going to have to deal with it because you know it's not just the student debt; it's also just basic financial assistance.
Right.
And one of our clients here in Denver, one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some financial education,
Hmm.
because many of them uh, are like most Americans that if they have a $400 you know car repair bill, they don't have savings to cover it.
Yeah.
So I think companies have got to get much more involved in education from a financial perspective for emergency savings and saving for retirement, and also, like you talked, Beth, to really help them make the right decisions for their families on colleges and taking on debt, because it's really, really critical.
Well,
Uh,
I think that what you hear in this story is that really any path that you choose, you can have some success as long as you stick with it. So if you're the hey, start at community college and you want to go that path, as long as you have the stick to itiveness, you can do it. If you want to be at Penn State and be there for 4 years and graduate and work hard, you're gonna do it. I think any path is fine. You just have to make whatever decision is works for you in terms of what do you really want to walk away with after you have after you get your education. Is it,
mhm.
do I want to be in debt and went to Notre Dame, or do I want to have gone to San Marcos State and have it all paid off? I guess it really is a
Yeah.
risk worth versus reward kind of
Exactly.
argument you need to have with yourself. and
Yep.
and the thing about financial knowledge is that so many employees just don't understand all of the things that they can benefit from within their company.
Hmm.
They don't understand how to use the health spending account. They don't know how to maximize that. They don't understand how the 401k works with, or how an IRA works, and they don't know what that looks like, and they don't know how much their company is matching. They don't understand their RSUs, if you have RSUs or options. They don't understand how that works. And so you're leaving a lot on the table the more you don't grasp those concepts. And so that's why we're so bullish on providing financial independence information for people and being able to maximize on what they have through their employer.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
and
and,
with
and it
your I was going to say, and with Thrive's professional partnerships, you're able to help your clients, Thrive's clients, work toward that for their employees. It's such an added benefit. It's so important. Ray, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, the organizations need to push their vendors to provide some of this education. Um, because vendors will do as little as possible to keep the business. And with one of our clients here in Denver, in talking to their 401k provider, we basically said, okay, so what employee education are you going to be doing for this client? And their answer was, well, we go in once a year and talk to them about enrolling into our plan. I said, no, 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 no. We need to go
I
back
think
a
sales
step.
related.
Yeah, we need to go back a step and talk about what are you going to do to help educate this employee population, number one. And then number two, you know, we also found out that that they had somebody come in and sell them Aflac insurance. So these poor people making $15 an hour are now
Yeah.
being it was a great sales pitch. And how can you not say, I want to protect myself and my family if I'm injured? They got commercials.
Everybody loves a duck.
Yeah, and so, but it's like the worst insurance you can buy, so they should be putting that, what I basically said, they should be putting that money into a savings account for
Yeah.
emergency savings, not having Aflac. So we're really very passionate about helping our clients around employee education, how to best leverage your benefit program and your benefit dollars, like Jason said. So we'd love to help and try to address some of the things that are happening, in the workforce.
Yeah, and all these companies have that. Your 401k provider has a packaged training that they bring out, and when you ask them to do it, they have it all ready to go. So it's not an extra piece of work for them. Same way with your benefits provider. Whoever you have, that's part of what you're paying for. They just don't sometimes advertise it, depending upon what their level of appetite is for working with you. But they all have it, and you should tap into it and bring people out to help out your team and your organization.
Well, and as an employee, an employee who is distracted by finances isn't really as productive as they might be if they felt they already had that security, behind them. Finances is such a huge burden for pretty much everybody in one way or another, that when you have an employee that you really value, or an employee that you're not able to see shine because they're so distracted and so pulled apart by that, if you're able to alleviate that one way or another, you really are retaining that employee and you're getting the best work out of that employee, right?
Yes, and you would be surprised that it's not necessarily the person that's making $75,000
Right.
having the stress. A lot of times it's the person making $750,000 to $1 million who is having an immense amount of stress. And probably in my experience, I've spent more time at the upper level of people having stress, because they have not manage their situations well for whatever reason that is. So you're right, and that's a problem.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up. How do people find you?
Jason at thrivehrconsulting.com. We're ready to go and to help you out.
And Ray at thrivehrconsulting.com. Love to talk to you and see what we can do to help.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.